Greetings and a warm welcome to the WIN Network. I'm your host, Dr. Shakenna Williams, the Executive Director of the Frank Eileen Center for Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership at Babson College. We could not be more excited to present our second season of insightful and game-changing content from esteemed thought leaders, innovators, and visionaries. Our goal is to ignite your passion, empower you, and equip you with the tools and resources necessary to create a brand that will have a profound impact on others. Without further ado, let's introduce our next guest. Hello, everyone. Today we're joined by our very own Carla Curiel, Director of our Miami Campus at Babson. We're so excited to have you here today with us, Carla.
Thank you for having me, Shakenna. I'm super excited to be here and also to be officially again part of Babson in a different capacity.
Yeah, we're going to hear all about that. We want to learn all about your return to Babson. Here at the WIN Network, we like to gain valuable insights about our guests' journey, their motivation, and strategy. And we're going to hear about Carla's journey back to Babson. So, Carla, tell us a little bit about your journey before Babson, during Babson, and why did you come back to Babson at this moment in time?
You know what? It's actually pretty interesting. I fell in love with Babson around 2000. So it's been quite a few years. I was a high school student in Dominican Republic. I come from a family business. My family has a chain of drugstores in the country. And it was a friend's dad that knew about Babson and put it on the radar and thought that Babson would be a great choice for his daughter and for myself. And his daughter, was in between like law and business, but I was like just, struck with Babson. It became like, this is a great school for me. I thought it was intimate, which I appreciated coming from the Dominican Republic. It was going to be to a new world. I wanted people to know my name, to be able to talk to others, not just be a number. But obviously, the biggest factor was just the curriculum, the fact that it was such an entrepreneurial, innovative school and very focused. And I've always been very driven. And I had been playing a role in my family business since I was very little. When I was 5 and I could help, put the products on the bags and say thank you to the customer, I would. I did inventory control. I handled their customer service department. I did some loyalty programs, like putting on the points, like when you had the Advantage miles for American Airlines, we actually gave that. So anyways, it was just a very organic and good fit for me when it comes to entrepreneurial thought. I had built a business in my school when I was in elementary, actually buying products at a lower cost from my dad and then reselling in a school. And it became so good that the school closed it down. It said that was not available. But anyways, I made it to Babson. Like by far, it was a great fit. Loved it there. Got involved in many different capacities. Got to know my faculty. Created an amazing network of friends we were like our own United Nations. So I had friends from Brazil, Switzerland, Italy, Egypt, India, Colombia, Venezuela, Salvador, Guatemala. I mean, just from everywhere. It was obviously the United States as well. And it was just great. I graduated and went back to the Dominican Republic to work back in the family business, which was the whole idea and intention. But unfortunately, life had a different plan for me. And I ended up falling in love with my husband during my college years. And he lived in Miami, and that's how I end up in Miami. So initially, my thought was like, wait, I never really envisioned myself working from anybody. I'm very entrepreneurial, and I'm going to start something that could keep me connected to my roots and to my family business, but that I could also build on my own. So that's how I started my first business company. And it was an import and export sourcing company. And obviously, my first client was my family business. At that point, they were doing mostly local purchases, and they had not dabbed into the world of importing, and they could make a lot better margins, right? If we did that. And so I basically started that division for them and ended up becoming part of this big consortium and purchasing group where we had regional drugstore chains like Dwayne Reed in New York that was then bought by Walgreens. We had Navarro here in Miami, Bartell in Seattle, different drugs and drugstores. And I would buy with them, in big volumes from, well, not only the United States, but also to Asia. So I got to travel to Hong Kong, see factories, manufacturing. We created some labels for us. We started representing brands in Latin America, selling to different countries as well. So open up with new clients in like Mexico, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, and so on. And then I became a mom. So
Awesome. I want to hear a little bit more about that, but I want to go back, Carla. I didn't
okay.
know our backgrounds are similar. Growing up in a family-owned business,
Okay.
same story like you. My father heard about Babson, and he was like, "You got to go there." So it's so funny how your background is similar, growing up in a family-owned business, and also about our alumni network. Is something about us, Babson alums. We love it. We love it. We want everybody to be a part of it, and I love our tagline at Babson is like one Babson and Babson everywhere. Let's talk a little bit about you being vice president of the alumni club and also representing Babson at the White House. That's huge. So tell us a little bit about that, because you remain in our ecosystem, which I love. It's like lifelong learning, lifelong Babson alum, from leaving, going back home, coming back to Miami, now being director of our Miami campus. But let's talk a little bit about you representing us at the White House and being part of our alumni club.
I mean, so when I moved to Miami after getting married with my husband, he has his ecosystem, his network. I don't know many people. So I connected with one Dominican that I knew from Babson, and that was in Miami, that she stayed working here, and then found out that we had sort of an informal alumni club. And I'm like, well, I am joining. And it really became my constant throughout all my entrepreneurial endeavors. And so I joined in 2008. I became very active and quickly became like VP for it, and just stayed very engaged then with, our alumni office, and they knew what I was up to, what I was doing. And when I was saying that I became a mom, at that moment I switched. And so I said, hey, I'm going to start my second venture. I really wanted to create content that was powerful for Latina moms that were looking to raise bilingual and bicultural children in the United States, and there weren't enough products. So I started, that business, and I did apps, animation, books, live shows, and Jerry Ranlet was very much aware, and so were so many people in the community. And I really don't even know who gave my name, who said, but there was a moment where Babson was invited to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month at the White House, an educational excellence. And since I was educating children on our identity, it was focused on Hispanic in our community. They basically chose me as that alum, and then they chose another student, and it was beautiful. I got to attend with Cheryl Kaiser and Amir, and it was just a beautiful experience to be able to have Babson give that experience to me, and then be able to give Babson also back with my time with alumni. And we were talking about that network that we have, and it is real. I mean, we have a chat here in our Miami community with over 300 connections that are willing, that they're literally a text away on like, hey, I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking to hire somebody, or I'm relocating to Miami. And so it's really beautiful. But then within our Miami bigger ecosystem, we're about 5,000 strong. Wow. I mean, it is great. And we hold many different events on campus to keep us connected, and on different capacities. Some are educational sessions, some are networking events, more fun. We just had during our holidays, tacos and tequila and mariachis. Wow. And then we had the CEO of Banesco, who's, a strong family. They have a few of their family members attend Babson. And then we also have community service. So it's like, hey, we're here for you. How do you want to participate and engage with us? But we're always looking to have you be a part of it.
Wow, you're definitely a super connector, Carla. And let's go back about really connecting you being a mom and also when you're a serial entrepreneur. We have many of our listeners are moms and they're entrepreneurs and they're trying to figure this out. Can you talk a little bit about how do you infuse the both? Being a mom, being a wife, an entrepreneur. How did you do that?
I don't know if it is intentional,
Mhm.
to be honest, or if it is just like sort of embedded in me. But at one point, my brother-in-law told me, he said, "Hey, everything is so like that you do is integrated. Like everything is just part of like your value system." And I really admire that. And I hadn't stopped to notice that that. And it was true. So I think it's just sort of like my value system that then whatever I do needs to align in that sense. In fact, with Babson and me coming back to Babson, I know you wanted to know that a little bit. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the eggs. Like, I don't know if I fell in love with Babson because it represented me so well and shared so many values, or if I no longer remember, maybe they attracted to me, and then Babson values got instilled in me, and so everything now it shaped me so much. And I think it's really a mix of the twos,
Right.
but I think it's been organically something like that where to live authentically it has to, like it has to be mission purpose driven and go with that set of values. So when I became a mom, I literally had a life shifting moment because then I'm like, wait, this is such a big part of me and I get to do something for these kids. And I saw that need, right, of what was missing and what needed to get done. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And so
Right.
I pivoted and literally left my husband alone in the other company. I'm like, hey, good luck.
I love
We're
it. I
doing
love
great. Continue. And then I move on to something else.
it. Mhm.
So,
I love it. I love it. I love how you talk about values and being interconnected in all that we do. So thank you for that tip for our listeners. Carla, we love in the Win Network to get the inside scoop when we have our special guest with us. Can you share with us what's on the radar for the Babson Miami campus that you can share with our listeners?
oh, yeah, there's so much. I am so excited. I think one of the biggest things that I'm going to do is to really activate the ecosystem and the campus when the students are not on campus. And I mean when they're not when their classes are not going on.
Right.
I want to integrate a lot more Babson with our tech entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Miami. We had a great presence with WidLab throughout the years, but I want to just engage more. So a lot of collaborations with big players are going to be happening, co-hosting of events. We are going to have an important panel coming up talking about AI because how can we not? So I'm
Right.
bringing thought leaders from SAP, from Google, from Microsoft, and we're going to have those really discussions on, this next wave of technology. I'm going to be having a lot of like a breakfast series
Mhm.
with our centers. I know Sewell's going to be part of it,
Yes, we
bringing
will.
again, big leaders of our community talking about certain topics that are of interest to us. So social innovation or women in leadership or whatever it might be, finance. And so I think there's going to be a lot more events on campus that support lifelong learning.
Yes, yes. So, Carla, over the years, you've definitely been a champion for Babson, serving on our alumni club, now being director of our Miami campus. Let's touch upon mentorship. Carla, how important is mentorship to you? And you can tell us a couple of examples about either being a mentor or mentee in the Babson community.
So, you know what? I heard a lot about the importance of mentorship. And because I had always worked for myself and I was always an entrepreneur, it was actually a challenge to get a mentor. Because
Mm.
there are a lot of informal mentors when you're working at a corporation, somebody's giving you a hand, giving you tips that you can connect to. Sometimes there's a programs that actually align to it. So I think one of my first and most important mentors, I met her at an event and she was talking about that. And I just came up to her and said, hey, how do I get a mentor if I'm an entrepreneur and I don't have one? And at that point, WinLab was not here. I'll talk about that as well. And she said, you know what? Call me. Here's my number. Call me and we'll meet next week at my office. And she became my mentor. And that was just beautiful and organic. And that's weird because you don't go to somebody like, like, hey, can you be my mentor? But then during WinLab, I was a participant in the first cohort of Miami. In fact, at that point I called Susan Duffy and I wanted to be a part of it because there weren't like industry agnostic accelerators in Miami. Everything was so tech focused and heavy that it wasn't a good fit for me with my media endeavor. And so at that point, it was a program where they set me up and they set me up with Laura Gonzalez. She was a high executive at Facebook here in Miami, and she was just awesome. We are still connected to this day. I saw her less than a few months ago, and I was talking about my, transition and career. And she leads right now Venture City, which is for startups, and she invests in entrepreneurs. And it was just so great to have somebody keep you accountable, to guide you, to be there with honest feedback on how you can learn and what to consider. It's really crucial, to be honest.
Yeah. Yes, and that's why it's definitely one of our pillars at Sewell underneath the WinLab. WinLab stands for Women Innovating Now. Is one of our accelerator programs, and we know how important it is to have a mentor who's kind of walked that path to work with our inspiring and also current entrepreneurs. So, Carla, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. So before we conclude, Carla, would you like to give any plugs for the Miami campus at this time?
Well, we have an awesome executive MBA program on campus. I think a lot of people are not aware of it. And I think I have to figure out a way how to voice it to the world because it is amazing. It is the same, quality. Our faculty, every single one of them travels down directly from Wellesley to come teach to our students. And it is a beautiful hybrid program where 51% of the classes are taught in person. So students come in about once a month on campus for 4 intense days, and the rest is taught online. So you log in, you have your teacher, everybody's together because there's obviously a lot of collaborations and group projects and case studies. But it's really a beautiful, 2-year program, and applications are open because we'll be getting a new cohort to start next August. So any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we're here to answer any questions.
Awesome. And those that may be interested in the upcoming activities, is the information available on the website?
So we're actually revamping our website. So that's something exciting, and it will be, but right now it is not. So we do have a LinkedIn page for Babson College Miami, so they can check that out and follow us. And we always announce our events. So that's a great way to stay connected and in the loop so far.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carla, for joining us today. And until next time, keep winning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Or me right now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm your host, Dr. Shakenna Williams, and you're listening to the Win Network podcast. Until next time, keep winning.